so yeah, I wanted to acknowledge Josie Scoggin joining us here. She's had problems with connection, but she's very much understanding and knowledgeable of the situation, connected to it. She founded Sons and Daughters United in part because of her connection to all this, and she wanted to be here and offer her support also.
I am Ashley Duval's biggest fan. I met Ashley Duval on the steps of the Capitol with a clipboard in her hands, and she spoke with an unusual or a unique combination of passion and sorrow. And she was talking about how her dad and her brother were arrested under the federal guidelines, how she had been misguided. And I was like, this is real, you know? So I went and met with Ashley at her house in Brooklyn. And on her table was a stack of credit card bills that she had been paying so that her brother and her dad would come back and still have good credit. And that's when I realized that my dad is a recreational cocaine user. He spent 20 years of my life in jail for his drug use. And staying connected to him was difficult and expensive for me. But what Ashley was doing was above and beyond. It was something that, and still today, and we've been doing this, we provide support to people whose families are incarcerated. So we'll do anything from travel expenses, J-pay payments, stamps, stationery, whatever you need. We have sent Ashley to see her brother and to see her dad a few times, and it is obviously, it was obviously an emotional and difficult thing to do, but it would be even harder without that funding. And throughout the entire time we've done this, we provide this service to every incarceration facility across the United States. I still have not found anybody that's paying their loved ones' credit card bills and worried about how that credit will affect them. And obviously it has been listed, and we've all talked about the fact that they did take the family farm and they auctioned it off right to the pipeline, which is something that infuriates, I think, Ashley and myself and definitely Sharon. And something that we are seeing here with the Duval family is this undying dedication and this undying support from the family. And what happens a lot of time is it's emotionally exhausting, obviously, to have a family member that is incarcerated. But it really does take a toll on you physically and on your physical health and your mental health. And I think that Ashley and the entire Duval family, Sharon included, has been exceptional in terms of advocacy and also in terms of staying connected. And I think that when we're looking at the pandemic and we're looking at how people are affected in the prisons, it is completely 100% utterly disturbing and disgusting. And there are people that are in jail right now for things that, you know, are legal in their state, just like Jerry, and they are catching this virus and they are dying. There has been, 1 in 5 people that contract coronavirus are directly within an incarceration facility. And while some crimes that these people have committed are obviously unethical or what have you, they do not carry a death penalty. And that's what we're seeing, especially for people like Jerry Duval, who has been sick, who is known to have these health issues, and who, as we were saying prior, never belonged there in the first place. And so while we're all excited for this next year to come up, it is still a groggly, terrible 18 months or whatever it is until October 22nd or 2022.
Thank you for that. That was good. Sharon, she talks about undying dedication. What did Jerry mean to your life? Tell me how much Jerry meant to you, Jerry Lee.
Jerry Lee meant everything to me. All my boys do, but I bet you I cry 2-3 times a week because how much I miss him.
Stacy's here. Stacy's ear is here actually for a second there. But go ahead, please, Sharon.
Yes, I said I miss Jerry Lee terribly. He had one breakdown in prison. He thought the federal came in and killed all of us. And I had to start writing him letters of when he was born right up to the time he was in Boy Scouts and the fair with his cattle and everything. And finally he came through it and he says, Mom, now I know the federal didn't come in and kill all you guys. He says, because no one knew all this except me, So I think about that a lot with his kidneys because they do give him kidney infections and then he loses his mind for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's on the right medication or not, but I worry about it every day.
We talked too about Jeremy, and Ashley and Jeremy both caught charges for this, but Ashley's was dropped. Jeremy served.
Jeremy served 5 years because they wanted him to testify and say that all the plants was his dad's. And he said he was not going to lie and say that when he was the caregiver and the owner of those plants. So that's why Jeremy got charged, because he would not testify against his father.
That's that loyalty. That's that loyalty Josie was talking about.
Right.
Love of family. It's irreplaceable. Welcome to the show, Stacy.
Hey, Stacy.
It's typical jazz cabbage. Just put your earrings in.
Just got to get the right earbud in. That's all.
Good, Stacy.
Oh, sorry, my mic was muted. Hi, you guys. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, honey.
And hi, Josie. I see you on here. I was just talking about you. Good to see you. It's good to see all of you all.
Nice seeing you, honey.
Well, obviously, Stacy, you've been very aware and been following and been connected very closely to all of this for many years now. We were just recounting the fact that we were on planting green trees together with Carrie about 8 years ago, talking about this very thing.
Yeah, isn't it wild? It's already been 8 years.
Well, Stacy, we talked at length about the case itself, but you've been involved, in many different ways. Why don't you just give us your thoughts about Jerry's situation and your frustration with the way the system worked in this case?
Well, Jerry's situation, I advocate for a lot of people, but, I have some families that are super close to me, and the Duval family has been one that has been ever since the press conference before Jerry went to prison, when he had to self-surrender like a month later. And so I got to spend time with Jerry and the family and get to know just how amazing and awesome they are. And then all of Jerry's story, Rick, and Jamie, we were at the appeals court together, and we witnessed all 3 judges pretty much agreeing with us that it made no sense for Jerry to be in prison or be there, but they still didn't rule in Jerry's favor, let him out of prison. And that's been heartbreaking. My heart's always sad. I was able to attend Ashley Duval's wedding back in 2017, and that was really special to be able to be with the family again. But you just feel that absence of Jerry the whole time, and it sucks. It sucks to have your family member missing when they shouldn't be, especially over cannabis, and how the whole thing went down. It's so obvious that they just wanted to steal Jerry's land, and they used plant prohibition to do that. So it's been hard, and then that's really during the appeals process, when we were really being very loud for Jerry and the Duval family. It seemed like that was the louder that we got for him, the more that he was being put in solitary confinement and not getting the medical care that he needed. And yeah, it was hard. That's, I can't wait till he's out. I really feel like the momentum is that he won't have to spend the next 2 years in prison. Hopefully he will be out a lot sooner. His health the state of mind and health that Jerry's in, he needs to be out as soon as possible and back with his family. It was a treat that I got to spend time with Sharon before I left Florida. I've been in Florida with the Lisi family, who we helped get out of prison this past December, and was able to go visit Sharon on my way out. And I make time for Sharon because I just love her and I love the family. And I know these families, it feels so good and it helps them so much to know that they have so many people out that care about what's going on with them and their family and their loved ones. And seeing Sharon, here, oh, we're going to go see Sharon to help make her happy. And she just, blessed me and my friend with so much spirit and energy. And even though that she's a mom, that she's worried and stressed and her heart breaks every day, she still just has such a sweet heart and attitude and spirit, and just makes you feel good just to be around. And that's what Jerry needs. Jerry needs his mom.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Hey, Carrie, I noticed you nodding when Stacy talked about perhaps prison, punishing Jerry for the things that we did on his behalf out here. I mean, it's kind of a grim thing to talk about, but can you relate some of those stories if you know? And Stacy, you may need to mute when you're not speaking because of the background noise.
Yeah, it's like that balance, right? You want to speak out and raise the flags about the issue, and sometimes the more you speak out, the more that the person who's incarcerated gets punished for that, and so. And that's, again, by design. All of this is by design to, take away our constitutional rights across the board, really. Because that's another thing that we haven't even really touched on is, in a lot of these cases, we're talking about rural Americans who protect their property however they need to do so. And so they leverage those firearms that are used to protect a rural property where if sheriff can't get to in, say, 50 minutes time, right, they leverage those to once again charge you even harder to get you to plead guilty. So yeah, it's all systematic, and for everything you do, it seems there's an equal and opposite reaction. And in some cases, the attention has gotten people out, and in other cases, it's gotten them shipped to prisons farther away from their families. It's gotten them put into solitary for longer periods of time. It's gotten them literally killed, like Josie says, and that's a real stake that's on the line. So you have to be constantly conscious of what we're doing on the outside and how that affects our loved one on the inside.
Do you have actual times that you feel like Jerry was put in solitary as a result of some of the things that were advocated for in his behalf out here? I see several heads nodding up and down. Go ahead. Is either Stacy or Carrie, can you share a story?
You go, Stacy.
Oh, I just know, I felt that strongly, especially when he was going through the Court of Appeals. That's when it really started, when he started being held in solitary confinement, and there was issues with his medication and stuff, and he would get out of solitary confinement and then he would get put right back in, and I felt the whole time that it was really, it's really conflicting to your spirit when you want to show up and be loud and get attention so we can help get these people out of prison and be hurting the same person you're trying to help, And so that's even though I've always been still Jerry's stories on the bus and one-on-one were, as far as loud in public, I was more about public, about those prisoners that I knew, like Christ Cecil. He didn't care how many times they put him in solitary confinement. He would still sneak and get on the Human Solutions radio show and Kristen's radio show that she had. He encouraged us, so then you knew that he didn't care how much punishment, and he did. They put him in solitary confinement. He got beat up in prison. He did all that stuff, but he was able to share that with us, that keep doing what you're doing and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. But Then we have someone like Jerry, and the louder that you are for him, it's like the more abuse. And then all of a sudden, like all contact is lost between him and his family is devastating, and you want what you're doing is to help the families, not separate them more. And it's really like heart crushing because you do have all the best intentions, for them, but because things are so messed up that it's like a something, a chance that you have to take, because we've also shown that public outreach and being loud for our prisoners and showing up and keeping that ball rolling also helps get our prisoners free. Richard DeLisi's release date was 2086, 8 years ago, when I started shouting for the family and showing up for them. And he just got out in December. And we've had these letters, like the whole Trump administration, we had letters similar to this. And there's not enough paper to include all of our cannabis prisoners. But just like our Trump letter was similar to this. It had a section of prisoners defined, like listed out. And then at the bottom it says to release all the prisoners. Well, when Trump just let those 12 prisoners out that he did in January, out of all the cannabis prisoners in the country, he chose 12 prisoners off of our list that we've been getting letters signed. And through the years, we've had these letters signed. Most people are all ambitious and happy to sign, and like can't believe that these people are still, so many, and people are still in prison for life or mandatory minimums. But then also, you always have people saying these letters don't really do anything or whatever. And they do. Like, energy is everything. And putting that energy into your signature and everything, and then them going, all that energy and those intentions are making it to the White House and doing something. I mean, I really feel like all of our grassroots activism helps inspire and manifest organizations like LPP, the Last Prisoner Project, that has come in and, reached out to all of us, getting our information, our prisoners, and helping get people out of prison with money and lawyers and stuff. Like, all of the work that we've done. And Carrie, I'm sorry I didn't say hi to you earlier. I didn't notice you in the hat. But all of the work that, even some of us that are on here, Josie, me, Carrie, others, like, all of it matters, and it's getting us to where we need to be as far as ending plant prohibition and getting our people out of prison. So I was late getting on here because I was in a meeting, and here at Jiva Hut, Celeb Stoner just did a story about Jiva Hut, and Jiva Hut's been supporting, like, they've always like sponsored our dope sacks and been a part of, like, supporting our efforts here in Arizona. Well, now they're nationwide, all over, and they're like a cannabis themed sandwich shop, and so they're a great place to grow activism and get your education out there. But I was in a meeting and I had them sign the letters. Well, then all the employees came to sign the letters, a few of them. And so we just left another stack of letters for Jiva Hut to sign and get to the president for all their customers. And Sharon, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jerry's number 6 on the letter that we're having signed and getting to the president. Next month, I'm taking the cannabis across the country to the 51st annual smoking, and we'll be getting these letters signed all the way there. So hopefully we're bombarding DC with hundreds and thousands of letters every day, letting them know that they need to make this like their priority and get all our people out of prison. They said they were going to.
Stacy, thank you so much. That was great. Your audio is a little wonky, but thank you. Sharon, you just watched Stacy talk about a nationwide campaign to help free Jerry Lee. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel great that all these people that I have gotten to know, and just, through this, and all the people that are trying to get Jerry Lee out. I just can't thank everyone enough. I've gotten to meet so many nice people through this, and all of them, including you guys. I mean, I talked to you in Detroit and everything. But I will never give up on trying to get him out. But I just want to thank everyone that cares so much about all of these prisoners, not just my son. They don't deserve to be there for marijuana. They just don't.
Amen, Sharon.
Something I wanted to touch on that Stacey had said was that it's sad. This work is sad. It definitely, we started Sons and Daughters United for Ashley Duval, right? So I had never seen anyone so determined and dedicated and just so screwed over by literally everybody. And when we started it, I did admittedly think it was going to be cool or fun or rewarding in some way, but it's fucking sad. Like, it's just everybody is experiencing the same thing. People know about it, and there's like people shouting it from the rooftops, and there's really no serious reform that's affecting in the way that we need it to be affected.
Right.
And I wanted to also touch on the fact that things are really different now. With coronavirus, a lot of states, a lot of incarceration facilities haven't allowed visitors. They have limited contact with other prisoners. They have had, people have had the same mask in Milan for like 6 months, the same single mask. And so I wanted to ask Sharon how, what the changes are, how much harder it has been for you to get to Jerry, and how hard it is for you to contact him or visit him, and if you guys still have visits that are suspended, or if you're able to do in-person visits yet.
We could have visits if he would let us back on the visitors list, but I don't know what happened to him. I actually think something happened to him in prison. The last time we visited him, he asked us what we was going to do that day, and we said we was going to go whale watching. Well, all of a sudden he started crying and said, "I gotta leave. I can't visit anymore." So I don't know if something happened to him in prison where a bunch of the prisoners watched something that was going on that they did to him or what. But that is the last time that he has let us visit him, and he has taken us off the visitors list.
So something that is, even when, I apologize for that, even when Jerry gets out, he is never going to be Jerry in the way that we all so fondly remember him, and the stories from Ashley's childhood and your stories from his childhood. It doesn't matter what kind of therapy he goes through. It doesn't matter what kind of support groups he goes to. It doesn't matter how many people hear his story and how many stories are like his. We will never know the true effects of his time in prison. And I think that there's so much that people who are incarcerated for long times carry with them in terms of literal abuse. And we always talk about this, how humiliation tactics are illegal unless you're a drug user. Search and seizure without warrants is legal unless you're a drug user. And really what we're seeing is an entire class of people being scrutinized or losing their constitutional rights, like what Carrie was saying, just for the basis of the drug war. And I know we're talking about cannabis in this instance, but we're not always, right? So all issues associated with recreational drug use get a harsh sentence. They're not really seeing it fairly, right? So I think we can all agree, if you murder somebody, you should absolutely spend serious amounts of time in jail. But I'm not sure that there's very many people across the United States that agree with that for drug users or for drug traffickers.
No question.
Victimless crimes, for sure.
And Carrie, you've got a couple stories about how Jerry's been additionally punished.
Yeah.
And which is kind of along the lines of what Josie just was describing, of course.
Yeah. People don't come out the same. And so there's been many times where Sharon has reached out for help because, something has happened with Jerry's health behind bars. And one of them was his eye. His eye was hemorrhaging. I remember along the way, and I think that's happened like multiple times, more times than we could probably count. His eye has hemorrhaged,
Right.
Bleeding from the eye, hemorrhaging, right? But one of the ones that really just sticks with me is just as we were getting ready, we were making all that noise around the appeals hearing. We were all getting ready to mobilize this effort there and go down to Cincinnati. He was taken to Devens, Massachusetts because it was a federal medical prison. They were supposed to be able to give him the medical care that he needed there. He was a dual organ transplant recipient. That means that he needs to take medicine every single day to keep his body from rejecting those organs. And they deliberately, willfully denied that medication from Jerry to the point where we finally were able to contact Elizabeth Warren's office because
Right.
FFC Devens is in Massachusetts, and raise the flag again, and we did get his medication. But then that's again, all the contact was cut off after that. He was put into solitary, but at least he was alive. Elizabeth Warren's office had to intervene very early on to save his life. I have no doubt they would have killed him then. And they do this all the time and they get away with it.
The prison situation is unique federally versus state, but one thing's for sure: no one really values human life once the prison door clangs shut. It's because of activists and people on the outside that clamor for change, and then people like Michael Thompson who've emerged from that situation and are now exposing some of the evils of that and demanding change. That's what really drives us forward. Sharon, in that vein, Jeremy's out. How's he doing? Is he okay? Is he doing fine?
Yeah, Jeremy's doing really good right now. He's got an excellent job with Sofo Food Company, and he's been driving semi now for maybe 3 years or something, but he's got a great job. He's got a great girlfriend, and he's doing really good in life right now. I'm very proud of him.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, always good to have a positive there too. Ryan Basor, another person that came out of federal prison for cannabis crimes and has done very, very well for himself. And these are people that they carry those memories for the rest of their life, and they use it as motivation to do better. So we certainly extend our best to the family and our best hopes for a soft landing for Jerry once he emerges. We'll be following this story all the way up until October when he hopefully gets released.
Thank you so much.
We love you,
Jamie.
Sharon. We stand with you forever, and we will never give up on bringing Jerry home.
Thanks a lot, Carrie.
Hey, Matt, I just want to make sure, and I'll put it in the comments. Sharon, no matter what, Jerry will be out within the next 18 months. And Sharon has started a GoFundMe so she can prepare to be ready for Jerry's release. I think her GoFundMe, what is it, Sharon? You're only asking for a couple grand.
Yes, I was, but
I'll share her
even if
GoFundMe.
even if I could raise $1,000, it would help him get his driver's license back and insurance and get him a vehicle to drive, maybe.
Yeah.
So I'm not out there to get a lot of stuff, but I would just want to help him out.
Sharon, when he comes out,
because Jerry is a cannabis war veteran. He is a veteran of this cannabis war, and he is a good man. He should have never been in prison for pot. So I think you need to raise that GoFundMe up. And if you don't want to ask for more, I'll help ask for more, because Jerry deserves $50,000 when he gets out of prison. So he doesn't have to worry, and you don't have to worry, Sharon, because you should not have to worry about how you're going to find money to take care of your son when he gets done being tortured by our federal government.
Thank you so much, Stace. If you could help, it would mean a lot to me.
And Sharon, when he comes out, do you imagine he'll probably just live with you for a while until he gets used to things?
Yeah, I'm going to try to go up to Michigan and stay with him no matter where he's at. I want to kind of watch his, see what kind of state of mind he's in and everything. So I'm hoping that I'm still alive, that I can go up there and do that and find out how he's doing.
God bless you for that. Having a loving
You
family.
will be, Sharon.
I hope so, honey.
Josie, did you have any final things you wanted to throw out there? I know we're getting close to the end.
Something I want everyone to take away from this podcast or this show today is that while Jerry and Jeremy are the ones that went to prison for this, it is ultimately Sharon and Ashley and Trisha and all of the people that love and support and know these guys that are paying the price, and also all these people that they've met along the way, right? So it's Stacy and it's Carrie and it's all of the volunteers who are on my team that have been call people day and night trying to raise money for these guys. This is not he did his time. I don't think he actually did the crime, but he did his time and he's paying for it, but so is everybody in the family. This is a service that we provide to everybody across the United States. If you're in a situation like Sharon is, or even, I don't even think Sharon's one of the recipients of our grant. I think that it's just been Ashley throughout all these years where it's costing you hundreds of dollars a month to send JPay emails or to video chat or to do phone calls. Give me a call, sonsanddaughtersunited.org. We want to help you, and we can help you. This is something that affects families as a unit, but it also affects the entire community. And the Duvals are from a rural city in the center of the state, in Jackson County, and there was no reason for them not to trust the police officers that told them what to do. There was no reason for them to not believe that they were in compliance. And so I want everybody to really understand that this is obviously tragic for everybody that's involved. And the pain and the suffering doesn't stop, right? So when he comes home, it's still going to be tragic. He's still going to have those days. And Sharon is still going to be exhausted. I mean, I don't think that this will ever change that.
Well, thank you, Josie. I appreciate that. I'd like to, Stacy, you have any final thoughts before we kick it over to Carrie, and then we'll get Sharon? Stacy, you're on mute, my bad.
I said I love and appreciate you all, everything that we're doing together, all of our organizations coming together to bust these people out of prison, keep the momentum going, and never lose hope or give up. And I love and appreciate all of you all. What a treat to be on the show with all of you guys at the same time. It's great to see all of you guys again.
Thank you, Stacy. We have location envy because I think you got the best spot to broadcast from. Gary, you were emotional a minute ago. Thank you so much for reliving some things that I know were painful for you to talk about this issue today. Are there some things you'd like to leave us with?
I know, I have no doubt that this has taken years off of Sharon's life, and just hang in there because like I said, we're not giving up, and we're going to get Jerry back. And if we're really making a lofty goal for that GoFundMe, why not get the Duval family farm back? Let's raise enough to give the Duval family.
Amen.
What a beautiful thought.
Amen.
Yeah. And Sharon, you've been so wonderful to share your thoughts with us and to really recount some things that I know were uncomfortable for you. Thanks for joining us today. Is there a message you'd like to leave our viewers with that you'd like them to know about Jerry or about yourself?
He's just a wonderful kid, and he did not deserve this. He's been sick all of his life, and don't hold it against him for being a medical marijuana patient and doing what he did do. I want to thank you all of you. I can't help but crying.
We love you, Sharon. I'm squeezing you from Arizona.
All right, thanks, hon.
Yep. Carrie's doing the heart.
I gave you a hug a few weeks ago, so you know what it feels like.
Thanks.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much, ladies, all of you, for joining us today. Thanks for all of your ongoing work. And we'll keep our Joe's Cabbage Cafe viewers updated on the progress of this. We'll have you back when significant developments happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Well, what a powerful episode we've had today. I mean, we've talked about prisoners that were still incarcerated. We've talked about people that have made it out. Today we really focused on the people behind the scenes, the family. It's a very difficult, untold part of the picture, but really is a significant story. Thank you, Jamie Lowell, for putting together another killer episode of Jazz Cabbage.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
know-
But I thought that I didn't know the total story here worse than I thought, and I just feel really sad for everybody.
um,
But I also share Carrie's optimism too. There's a date coming up. There's hope here, and there's going to be a continued effort. So we'll be back here with Jerry out at some point.
Deborah Young told us she had to leave early, and I know she would, offer her sincerest condolences and her best optimism for positive results. Colin McDougall, thank you so much for being here today, Jazz Cabbage regular. Is there any thoughts you'd like to share before we end the show?
Nothing really. I just want to echo what Josie said. Just when it just seems like the more activism you do, you think that you're doing it to make stuff better, but along the way there's just all these really powerful stories that really just keep driving you, and so just definitely everyone check out the GoFundMe for Jerry, and just help in any way you can, stand up for injustice any way possible.
Thank you, Colin. I don't know if Sharon, if you knew this, but the GoFundMe link for Jerry has been running across the bottom of the screen during the entire interview. We really wanted to make sure that we get as much exposure for that as we possibly can. This episode will be available on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, and the audio of this is available on Pandora, Alexa, on all streaming platforms. We really do want to put this out there. And since our podcasting partners cannot see the video scrolling at the bottom, I'm going to read the GoFundMe link. The GoFundMe for Jerry Duval is https://gofundme.me/59485C22. 59485C22. Please contribute if you can. Thank you. Jamie Lowell, it's all yours.
Well, right on. I appreciate everybody's involvement today. A good show, but some tough content, here at times. And we definitely will be following up on this, and hopefully checking on progress as we hear about it. So thank you guys for sticking around and for participating today. And Carrie, it's good to see you. And obviously you're continuing these efforts, and I'm sure everybody is benefiting from that. Many families, many individuals. So very much appreciated. Obviously Stacy has left and Josie have left, but they were part of these conversations years ago too, and still doing this type of work. And too bad it's needed, but very thankful that the effort's still there. So, Sharon, thank you very much. Very, very, very tough, but very much appreciate you coming here and discussing with us and sharing with us and connecting. And I'm glad you got to see Stacy down there in Florida not too long ago.
Yes, I took her out boating, so we had a good time.
Good.
And thank you guys so much for having this program.
Benny and I will be down to visit you next, Sharon.
Good. I'm glad of that.
Yeah, Jamie and Colin and I will be down for that boat ride too.
All right. You're all welcome.
Okay.
Carrie, your little boy is so cute.
He takes after your little boy, Jerry.
I love all you guys.
Love you.
Love you too, Sharon. Thank you. Jazz Cabbage Cafe, everyone. Have a great day.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.